Yo, hello everybody, this is Random, and I'm gonna be talking about sort of map control and building placements on the map for the Python. I've been asked to make a guide basically about how to take map control, how to keep it, and how to approach the game from that point of view. The problem is that uh, that's pretty impossible to do. What I can what I can do though is take the concrete building placements such as where do you put your tunnels and all sorts of resource buildings and why do you place them the way you place them. So you have two ways of approaching your expanding. Either you will expand towards your opponent or you will expand to the sides and like next to the very edge and to the other side as well. So why do you choose one over another? Uh, Once when you want to expand towards your opponent, you're usually forcing the issue. You do that with elves and men a lot. You could see that in a lot of my replays that I just push the mountain trees with elves towards like this area, and I just kind of take it, and then I get my end mood up, and I force to fight like you know in this sort of area with everything, and the reason why I force to fight there is that my opponents they usually try to harass from the sides, right, and from this side as well. But the thing is that I don't really have anything there. So as long as they're sending their units over there, um, doesn't do anything. Their units are a wasted resource there. Just because my main my main focus is here in the middle part of the map. Okay, so that's men and elves against such factions as goblins and Mordor, because goblins and Mordor they will have a lot of units. They can spread easily around the map, but they don't necessarily have like a strong head-on fight against pretty much any faction. Then you have factions such as when you play as goblins or as Mordor for that instance. You really want to expand into the sides. You want to have a tunnel here. You want to have a tunnel here. You want to possibly have a tunnel over here, just so that you can send everything from this direction towards the opponent. Then you want to have a tunnel here, so that if your opponent wants to take the down, he really needs to dedicate something pretty far off the center where he wants to be. Then tunnels like here, here, here. That's where you want to expand with goblins and with Mordor and eventually sometimes with Isengard as well. But yeah, that's the first important thing: expanding towards your opponent versus expanding to the sides and on the edges of the map. Another very specific thing is when you play against dwarves, you want to place your tunnels or whatever resource building you have in order to prevent any sort of surprise attacks. So if you're playing on this position, you really want to have a tunnel here. That's a very common spot. Another tunnel needs to be here. That's again very common spot. If they spawn on the top side, they have a tunnel here. They take down this Vorklar and send like a unit or two of guardians this direction. The reason why you want to put a tunnel in the way is the simple fact that it doesn't matter if it dies that soon, but you want to prevent it doing major damage to your actual fortress. Another needed placement is over here, because this is like a dark corner for you. Usually I have bats now, so I have the vision there, but this is I'm obviously not drawing the line exactly, but this is like the dark corner, and he can have the mineshaft over here easily. And If that goes without notice, then you have an issue, obviously. Alright, another good placement against dwarves of your resource building is over here for obvious reasons. Once again, Warclar is nearby, so you want to be able to see the mine shaft that he could have used to take down the Warclar and then harass you from the other side, because they might have both of these sides. And that's very dirty. It's just something you don't really want to deal with. Obviously, another really common spot is this one, and that's already getting like to the mid game, because obviously this is a lot of tunnels to get up before anything happens. And the reason why it is possible to have the scouts on all of these like spots, you know, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 spots, is because you can send your worker there as well. The worker doesn't need to build the tunnel. He can just stand there and give you the vision that way. Also, another good spot is over here. That's because it's out of his vision. And dwarves usually they try to come from the sides because they can come from both sides at the same time. And the only dwarf I've really seen this do, or two only players I've really seen like send in a singular or double guardian unit through the middle of the map, even though they have the control of the forts on the sides, and just to have these guardians get some harassment done without actually using the tunnel system to move. Those were Ectelion and Gloodmaster. Those were the only guys I've seen that do actually very effectively. So this tunnel, pretty good for that. Gives you the knowledge that he's doing that, and you can send some units to intercept. Also, I believe that the spot is like about here approximately. It's out of normal fort vision that ends, I would say, around here, or you know, like shortly in front of this, and it's not in range of the Warclar. So this one, if you can get it up, super good. Will give you the information if he's moving to the top fort. Pretty solid stuff. Also, you can hide a tunnel here. That's something I would recommend if you can do that, because if he's sending units to the bottom, then he usually, you know, the pathing will be like this, right? He's taking this sort of path, so his vision will be cut off somewhere like here. So what he needs to do is, when he's sending units from here, he really needs to like do this, basically just out movement it over here, which is something you will often see on my gameplay videos or stream, for that matter. I do this all the time. Like, I just send something over here just to see, and then send it this direction, because those are the, you know, the most logical spots for the tunnels to be at. Alright, next thing is the percentage of the tunnels, or of the whatever resource buildings you have, your faction has. Don't really worry about, you know, having it perfectly on 100% or something. Like, this is sufficient. 72% good. Put it there. Get it down. You know. Red is bad. Don't go red usually. Yellow is fine. Yellow is absolutely fine. Like, this is a fine placement, because you want to, not only you want to have as much percentage on them, but you also want to have as many of them as possible. So yeah, this kind of placement completely fine. Don't need to worry about the percentage that much, as long as it's I would say above 60% is acceptable, and above 70% it's just great. Like 70%, amazing. 74, bam, it's down there. 60% is like you know, if you're building in the forts like this, and you really want to get them down there, then sure, like, go for this kind of stuff. Like, this was 60, this was like what, 70 something. I don't actually remember. But you get the idea. you better get those tunnels down or those resource buildings down. Doesn't need to be such a huge percentage. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much it. When it comes to the tunnel placements, I can probably come down and do some of the actual base building placement and explanations behind that. So there are two phases of what you want your building to look like or your base to look like. The first one is when you want everything to be clumped up on each other, like every building should be right next to each other, and that's because the units, they will not be able to clump in between, so they really have to go either all this way and kind of like get a shitty clump over here, or shitty clump over here, or shitty one over here, or they actually have to go through the fortress, which, you know, can be kind of prevented. Let's say that you get some of these expansions down, and that either, you know, that really fucks him up, because if he's clumping up 3 units of swordsmen here, then bam, you just like go and take it down with the cavalry. Now, the difference in between taking the production building in front of your fortress and behind your fortress is what's supposed to be protected, right? This scenario, the fortress is supposed to be protected. In the scenario when you have the buildings behind, then those are supposed to be protected. That's pretty much determined on the playstyle you have. Like, are you going to be pushed back during the mid game? Then hell, get them, you know, to the back line. If you plan to do like this sort of stuff, like 4 fucking caves, then just get them forward. Okay, so this time you're getting everything close next to each other, and then they summon Balrog. They you know, like they will have this worm. They can have summon dragon, whatever, Balrog. Yeah, nothing else from the goblin power tree really cuts it, I would say. But like something like Barrage or Dragon Strike, this sort of stuff, and they will just like destroy your the whole base, right? It just fucking falls, because that's what happens when when there's something like Balrog. And from that point on, I would recommend rebuild the base itself in this sort of direction. Like nothing is close to each other, because from that point on, if the game continues after the 25th power being used, then there's going to be a lot of like AoE shit being thrown down on your fortress, like, and the other 25er that's going to be there pretty soon, than the other 15 power points. So you don't want him to be able to actually take your production down once again, because you should, at that point, you should have enough to protect the base from the actual units. You can even add some, you know, towers. You should have the cash to do that in such a late game. And yeah, the units are not the biggest problem at that point anymore. It's the combination of units and huge huge power points from the spellbook. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And next time I'm going to make a video more focused on the actual army control rather than the buildings. So hope you guys enjoy it, and see you next time.